Welcome to Mojö Sound Studios in Helsinki, Finland. I'm Panic, and this is
Valtteri.
And we are doing the test lab for the fun of testing new equipment, getting trying different tubes, different guitars, all sorts of wacky stuff. So let's just get into it.
Yeah.
So today I want to show you something home built. This is based on, say, a 1958 Fender Princeton, I think it was.
Okay.
So it was a 5-watt amp, all hand-wired.
Yeah.
Locally here in Finland. Look up Rikstone amplifiers. He does amazing stuff. So I just moved to Finland and I needed to fix my Mesa Boogie and blew it up.
Okay.
And so I called Wally. He said go to Rikstone.
Okay.
Cool. Rikstone loaned me one of these and I loved it.
Okay.
It had this perfect punk sound. I couldn't describe why or what, but it's just so cool.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying one.
Okay.
And then it wasn't too much longer, and I started to want to modify it. I wanted to get more gain and more options. I wanted to know what different tubes sounded like.
Yeah.
So I went down the deep rabbit hole of trying different tubes.
Yeah.
And turns out you can plug any of these tubes.
Yeah.
And it's like having a relationship with a light bulb, I call it. And each tube, even like two EL84s, they sound different. There's actually 3 of them here. I think that one sounds the best for me. I discovered for myself the EL84 was my favorite tube.
Okay.
I felt that it gave the overall spectrum of EQ.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting too deep into tubes so far.
Yeah.
So it started off with just a 6v6, and then when I discovered that you can plug any octal tube, any of these connectors, you can get any crazy sound out of it. So then I had it modified to accept an EL84.
Okay.
So now I can play one or both of these at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I also added a second preamp. So that's 2 12AX7s instead of the original just one. So it really just only came with 2 tubes initially. And now we estimate it to be about 8 watts.
Okay.
But I also recently put in a FET circuit.
Okay.
So
no idea what that is.
That's solid. That's solid state.
Okay.
So one FET circuit is equal to 1.5 12AX7 in your preamp.
Okay.
So it's a lot of gain.
Okay.
It's so much gain that it just squeals.
Okay.
And I think an amp should go beyond 10.
Yeah.
You should find your own restraint.
Yeah.
If you think an amp you can go to 10, well, somebody has to modify it so it doesn't all squeal and be ridiculous.
Yeah. And
then those are your limits. Well, there are other ways to take that gain and put it into either more speakers or put it into an attenuator. And you can play with those squeaks and squawks.
Okay. Well, that's
why not?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be ungodly loud.
Yeah.
Put it into an attenuator and then find out some squealy noises.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today, folks, Valtteri has never played this kind of amp, and he's new to the whole tube thing.
Yeah.
We, last week or so, went through the Kentauri, close up of the Kentauri, and showed him a bunch of different tubes on that. And which one did you end up liking? I think it was the 5881.
Yeah, the 5881 I ended up... Yeah, it felt maybe most like home, but then when we tried the 6L6s, which I have in another amplifier of mine, that sounded the most familiar, but the 5181 sounded really nice. Yeah.
Huh. So we just got back from a camera failure, ran out of whatever.
Yeah.
And this is our first video together, so we're just figuring it out. Don't worry, we'll get somewhere faster.
Yeah.
So this is based on a Princeton 1958 approximately, and right now we've just switched over to the EL34. And we've also been starting to play with a negative feedback switch.
Mm-hmm.
So what a negative feedback does is that you're looking at, you plug in here and then the sound comes out over this way.
Yeah.
So preamp and then your main amp.
Yeah.
So when you both put your signal in, goes through the preamp and then through the main tube. Yeah. Then this takes a small signal and feeds it all the way back to the beginning again.
Okay.
So that's your negative feedback.
Okay.
So it gives you a little bit more depth, a little more gain, and a little bit of crunchiness when you get up to the top of the range.
Okay.
So let's try some of these settings.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep clean, you keep the negative feedback off. But also, so I use it as kind of a little bit of just dirty it up a little bit.
Okay.
But also, we've only been currently playing with one preamp tube.
Yeah.
So this switch puts the second preamp tube back on.
Okay. Yeah, that's a whole lot of crunchiness.
Yeah. So that's what that does.
Okay.
And then with the negative feedback on top of two preamp tubes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's getting
So now we're playing around 8 watts.
Okay, yeah.
And we're putting 8 watts through a 412 Marshal cabinet. I have found that I favor small wattage amps because you have so much more flexibility in how you play with the tone.
Okay, yeah.
You can't be in the same room with 100 watts without earplugs, so now you're not listening to it anymore. So you're missing out on the subtle characters of the different tubes and the different little settings that you can try.
Yeah.
So, and you can make 5 watts sound like 100.
Yeah.
It's just it's just simple physics of air pressure.
Yeah.
Air pressure that gets converted to sound in the eardrum. But that's what we're doing with the microphone is essentially the eardrum.
Yeah.
And if it's too loud, we have to compensate that with the mic pre's in the control room. So it doesn't matter how loud it is to get a big sound. If you want it to sound like it's filling up a whole room, you pull the mic back a little bit. Yeah. And it gives you a little bit distance and openness a little bit more. So 100 watts is fun for a little while.
Yeah.
But with this, it's such a simple circuit, there's very little in there that you get to hear every subtle difference. Yeah. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead of my sales pitch here and show off what the FET circuit does. Okay. Now the FET circuit is too much for this to be on. Okay. And so we pop this little thing. Okay. Let's try that.
Yeah, it's all around that same crunchiness, but different.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's just a whole different way of getting there.
Yeah.
It's looking at the signal chain from... we tend to be snobs when it comes to solid-state amplifiers.
Yeah.
Tubes, I personally like the tubes.
Yeah.
But adding a FET circuit to your design, a solid state, just one little switch that if you want it to be, all analog, you just keep that switch off. But if you're looking for something really different, a little bit more, it's a different type of distortion.
Yeah.
It's it's a more modern sound distortion.
Yeah.
And then it just gives you that many more options.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what started my design with the
Kentauri.
Kentauri.
Yeah,
Thank you. I can't even remember the name of my own amplifier design.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start adding a FET to that circuit.
Yeah.
Just because the idea is a Frankenstein, let's try to get as many sound tones and variations as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's other videos you've seen where you can compare different speakers, whether it's an open back, a closed back, or a single ceramic magnet versus an Alnico magnet.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of options to go with that. But I find that surprisingly, a 412 cabinet for such a low wattage amp, it's fine.
Yeah, it sounds really nice, and it kind of tricks the ear to. For me, I wasn't thinking this was modeled like after a Princeton amp, and it makes it different to hear like the Princeton amp through a 412 cabinet, because you're used to having it like a small one.
Okay,
just one. So
maybe we should switch to an open back Alnico magnet, which is what I'm sitting on.
Yeah, sure.
The finest furniture available anywhere.
Yeah.
So this is an Alnico Blue, and it's just as simple as pulling the wire, plug it in over there, and let's go with the open back, which I normally gravitate to, but well, it depends on the day. I can't say that I have a favorite.
Yeah.
More options is my favorite.
Yeah.
That's the skinny.
Yeah.
So here we go into a simple open back. It's about 10-year-old speaker.
Yeah.
So it has a little bit of wear into it.
Yeah. I'll just tune my guitar to the guitar. It's not
So right now we have ridiculous amounts of energy on it.
Yeah.
Let's go back to clean.
Yeah.
Does that a little bit more closer to what you were thinking it would come out to?
Yeah, I think so. I think like this 412 Marshall cabinet takes it right away to the it's more like Marshall sound maybe. But this reminds me more like the Fender Princeton thing.
Well, there's going to be the difference. This is an Alnico speaker, and these are ceramic, which is a harsher sound. It's not as smooth, not as bright.
Yeah.
But being four of them, you're pushing a lot more air, and that makes a difference as well.
Yeah.
And closed back.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of differences between those two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's definitely a Marshall.
Yeah.
So now we're going to start all over again. More of a Fender-y sound.
Yeah.
And let's see what you like between these, and I'll add things here.
Yeah.
So all I did was add the negative feedback, but I turned it down so it wasn't as gainy.
Okay.
But it gives you that little bit of
it's
a little more texture.
Yeah.
When you hit it harder,
Yeah,
it gives
exactly.
So it lights up the candles a little bit more.
Yeah.
So then, if we add just the basic extra preamp tube. Yeah. And then now with the FET in there.
Okay.
So it's just more options.
Yeah. This song makes you want to...
Got a good punk sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a... No, it's not here anymore. I've got a 1981 Gibson... it's actually not a Gibson. It's a Gibson Guitar Company 700.
Okay.
GGC 700.
Okay.
And it was the cheapest Gibson ever made.
Okay.
But it's old growth mahogany. It's really heavy.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
They were having a slump in sales, and I was thinking of selling that guitar.
Okay.
Until I got this.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, now. Sometimes you got to find the right guitar to go with the right amp.
That's true.
And they only made it the 1 year, so I was like, I don't want to sell my rare guitar.
Yeah.
But finally I found something to say, honey, I can't sell that.
Yeah.
We gotta keep another guitar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it's always fun to try different tubes, different guitars, different everything.
You learn a lot then. That's for sure.
How did you feel about this as an overall? Would you use this kind of a thing, or what would you use it for?
It has so many options that it would be amazing to have one like at least in the practice room, just to like
keep exploring.
Yeah, keep exploring and try it with pedals and see how it responds to them, and really just like find out what kind of sounds you can make. Maybe for like it depends on the gig too. If you base like a gig or a band around an amp like this, it might be like useful to take it to a gig, but still there's so many options that it kind of gets you freaked out.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to keep this video short, and I just wanted to show you something new. I wanted you to see something new, or hear and play.
Yeah.
And keep finding weird amplifiers and tell me about it. Send me messages and suggest different equipment that you'd like us to try out, and maybe we can get our hands on it.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in to Mojö Test Lab. I am Panic.
I'm Valtteri.
And we're just going to keep playing with goofy stuff. Tune in next time. Thanks.